Here we are. It is day 40. It's kind of hard for me to believe that we actually made it together. First of all, some have said, man, I don't want this to end. And I want you to know it's not going to completely end. It'll change a little. I won't be doing a video every night at this point. But I may do some videos periodically during the week on my Facebook page. It's called Girl with a Chronic Disease. So if you want to follow more, go to make sure you follow that page, Girl with a Chronic Disease. But there's also, I have a YouTube channel also called Girl with a Chronic Disease. And part of the reason that I've done this whole 40-day thing is that I was challenged at a writers' conference last spring that there's a lot of people out there going online asking faith questions. And so using YouTube to answer those questions is just one more way for the online world to have access to answers to their questions. I was just amazed. I'm actually quite tired today. I've had 2 naps, and we went to a family birthday party and came home, and it was all I could do to stay awake till about 10 to finish this. And I turned on one of those dorky Christmas movies and was laying in bed on my heating pad. And the whole thing is about trying to get this woman to believe. And it's just so funny because it's all about, we just need to believe. Now, it was a Santa Claus type town, but of course there's no baby Jesus, no faith mention of Christmas. And the whole essence of the show was just, you need to have hope. And I just want to go like, hope in what? Hope it's just going to get better. That's what they said. Just thankfulness for what you have now and hope that it'll get even better. And I just think it's so lame what we've done. What we've done in this day and age, how we have watered down we've just even taken away what faith is, let alone, just have hope. Hope in what? Oh my goodness. So one more time, I believe there is a God of the universe who created us, who made us, who loved us, who sent his son to die for us. And in dying, made a way for relationship with us. That is just radically cool. And in embracing that and in surrendering our lives to him, we find an abundant life that's beyond what we can ask or imagine. Oh, it can be hard. But what's amazing is how in those hard moments he meets us. And that's what he longs to continue to do, is to meet us in those hard places. Not just say, oh, let's hope it's better. But say, I'm here with you to make you better. I am in you. I am living in you. And as you choose daily to look to me, to put your thoughts toward me, to memorize those scriptures and use them out loud, to speak them, and be hope that you can be changed. Maybe not the circumstances, but sometimes the circumstances, but a lot of times us. So that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, and I will continue this through Facebook, but also through the YouTube channel. And I'll try to keep, as I formulate what that is, I will try to make it clear on my Facebook page what that is. However, I will say this: I am going to do till Christmas. I did a speech last year that I loved. It was called Family Secrets. It was about family secrets and how that ties into the Christmas story from my perspective. So I'm going to start doing that. I'll record those live. I'm going to break up that speech into segments, and I'll do that Tuesdays and Fridays in the next 3 weeks. And so I won't be doing this every night, and I may actually record them in the morning versus at night. But they will be there. You can look for those on Tuesdays and Thursdays on my Facebook page as well. The last thing I want to just put out there after all that is a little bit of story about my cat named Eggs. Yes, I named my cat Eggs. There was a night several years ago when I was on one side of town with my kids and my husband Don was on one side of town with his, and it just kind of bummed me out how that was all working and why there was a reason why, and it just had me really bummed. And so I was out eating with my kids and then went back to my oldest son's apartment, and he had picked out a movie. We were going to watch, what's it called? Box Trolls. We watched Box Trolls. And it's an animation movie about these people who wear boxes, these little guys. So Anyway, we were right before the movie started. I hear this cat meowing outside. Now my husband's cat had died, and I am really not a cat fan. I'm really a dog fan. But he liked cats, and there's this stray cat, and this cat meowed so loud. It's like I'd never heard a cat meow this loud. I was like, Nathan, we have to do something. He says, oh yeah, that cat's been there. It's hungry. It's a little kitty. It was actually more of a little kitten. And so I was like, okay, we have to bring this kitten home. We have to bring it in. We fed him. I had some chicken left over in the car. Again, I have never, ever, ever, ever had never done the stray animal thing. Just was not my thing. So here I'm getting this stray cat in my son's apartment. He's like, Mom, like, what are you doing? And like, you can't, leave this cat. But anyway, so while we watched the Box Trolls, the cat she was just so full of personality and walking around, and I don't know, she just won my heart over. So I was like 45 minutes, an hour away from where I live, had to drive major highways home. But I said, okay, guys, if we can catch her, if we can get her in, then, and because I think they'd let her out. Somehow she'd gotten out, and so we had to like kind of catch her with more food and then get her in my car. And then like basically I just drove across town with this stray wild cat loose in my car, which was quite the experience. She was climbing up on the dashboard, and she'd climb up me, and anyway, it was pretty comical. So I brought this kitten home. And my husband at first is like, are you crazy? We don't bring strays home. And I was like, yeah, but you'd lost your cat. And so anyway, I brought her into our basement garage, and I closed the basement garage, and I had left her downstairs in this kind of unfinished basement area. And I'd had Dawn, I told him that night when I went upstairs, look, there's a cat, be careful, don't let the cat, don't let her out in the morning. I think there's something we can do for her, that kind of thing. Well, the next morning when I get up to go out, the garage door's open, and there's like no cat in sight. Like I can't even find the cat, and I'm so annoyed with him. Like, oh, golly, I worked so hard to get this cat home. How could you be this way? Well, I kind of just simmered on my anger for a while, and then literally 5 days later, we are getting ready. I believe that was a Sunday. And on Thursday night, we are getting ready to leave town to go out of town for a week, in which we rarely have ever gone for a week. I think it's the only time, other than our honeymoon, that we've been out of town for a week together. And we were getting ready to go, of course, had an early morning flight out to Massachusetts. And at 10 o'clock the night before, Don comes up with a picture on his phone and goes, look who I found. And it was Eggs. Eggs had hidden in our basement, scared to death for the entire week, and only came out right before we were leaving. And we were so glad she came out, because obviously she probably would have died in our basement when we were gone. So we ran to the grocery store. He was kind of grumpy about it, like, you have to go. And I said, Don Davis, I am not going to that grocery store by myself. This kitten is as much for you, and my legs don't work well, so you have to come with me. So he comes with me, and he's kind of grumbling, but we did it. We went and we got the food and the kitty litter, and we left it in the basement for her. And we came home a week later, and she hid from us for 2 days. And then she started kind of working her way into our lives. She's definitely skittish. I mean, she's obviously something went on in her life. She's a tabby cat, so she is a little bit more like a dog and likes to follow us around. But the reason I'm telling you this is that it's been really fascinating, and some of you have been through this probably if you've brought in a stray, watching her learn to trust us, because it's hard for her to trust. And it took a long time for us to want to trust her. And really, I kind of kept her in the basement at night until she had to get fixed. And then I felt sorry for her. And so then I moved everything upstairs. And so then the cat's really been upstairs ever since then. Yes, oh, and I named her Eggs. I didn't explain this before, because the main character of the Box Troll movie that we watched, the main character's name is Eggs. And so I wanted it to be something associated with finding her. So it's a little bit of an Anne of Green Gables things. So anyway, I had this cat named Eggs. And one of the things that's just fascinated me is that she used to be very, very cautious of our hands. So like if I wanted to lay down in the afternoon, and I would get in my lounge chair, and I have this red blanket I'd put over me. If I put it over me and had my hands underneath the blanket, she would hop up there with me. If my hands came out, she would run away. And she's been like, you really can't pet her a lot. She's not a petting kitty. She likes to swat hands and do things like that. And I guess what amazed me recently was that just about 2 weeks ago, it wasn't that long ago, I was laying in my bed and she came up to me at night. Once Don's asleep, Don, of course, always does stuff. So when he's gone, she's a lot calmer. So Don's asleep in bed and I'm laying there awake reading my phone or doing whatever. And she comes up and she's gotten to where now she lets me pet her. And before, I could never use my hands to touch her. I couldn't bond with her. And yet every time she chooses to kind of let go of a little bit more of herself and let me love her, it's this sweet victory to me. I love that feeling of victory. But so maybe this is where this gets corny. But in some small way, I feel a little bit like God with this cat. Like we've brought her in from we're making away from her. We've brought her from her lost life. We've brought her in. And man, there's a lot of ways that I think I could love her better if she'd let me. But she doesn't let me. She has to learn a safety. She has to learn to trust. She has to learn that I really am for her and I'm not against her. And, biblically, when you think about how many times Jesus said, do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. I am here. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. My love is big for you. I mean, he had to say it over and over for thousands of years because we really can barely grasp it. Kind of like that scared kitten. It's so hard. She wants my hands tucked away. She wants to control how she's going to feel safe. And we approach God that way. It's like if we can put you in a box that we're okay with, don't bring your hands out. Don't make it too exciting. Don't do something that's going to make me, change my life too much. Let me stay in control, God. Then we are willing to kind of enter this kind of love thing. But that's not what it's about. I mean, when I think about how I feel about that cat when she comes close to me, and she was just doing that tonight before I came down. She comes down and where I'm laying on my back, and she just comes up and she rubs her head against me, and she just wants to be there, and she lets me pet her. And she used to not let me pet her. But again, it's just kind of a silly analogy, but the reality is the more we just climb up onto our daddy's lap and we approach him as a God whose love is strong and sure, is a God who really is wanting to take care of us, who's brought us in from darkness and says, hey, I've promised you I'm going to feed and clothe you. I've promised you, look at the lilies of the field. Look at how I've taken care of them. I've got you more than even that. The promises are continual to get to where we can trust because, as I've said in other videos, the rejection is constant outside the walls of our homes, sometimes inside the walls of our homes. We are inundated in this journey, in this dark world. I mean, right now I read it. Don actually showed me this fascinating article on the Wall Street Journal about outrage and how we are now an embedded society way too comfortable with outrage. It's like that's how we think we need to make change, and it's so wrong. It is so wrong. We are not going to elicit change through outrage. We elicit true change through the love of God, through the love of Jesus, through that love transforming us and us being able to communicate and bring that love to the world. It's as simple as that. It really is. And, I look forward to seeing how my cat continues to evolve. And as she opens herself to me, it really, her presence with me reminds me how much more God wants me to open myself to him. We weren't promised it would be easy. Suffering it's like suffering can be a true gift. I hate to kind of say that because that's not how I want the story to go. And yet through our suffering, through having forced out of the busy outrage of this world into quiet contemplation for me in a place where I've had to rest more, in that place is where he reveals himself in ways that make us recognize how little this world is, how what we're caught up in just doesn't matter. So my prayer, and maybe we'll just end with praying, that God would continue to help us resist this busy, outraged world and press into him over and over. You know, you may mess it up, but you know what? Go back. He's always there. My cat may run away someday, but she tends to come back. And you know what? I'm going to feed her again. I'm going to invite her in because she's our cat now. And God's love, it's that kind of simple. Sometimes we have to bring it down to something simple like that, where we understand concrete. His love is the constant. The rejection around here, oh yeah, it's real. It's kind of constant too. But his love can overshadow that and longs to get us above that. Remember, I'm sharing this as somebody who wrote the book, The Great Undoing, in my journey home. Not because I'm somebody who has made it through continually confident in the love of Christ every moment of every day of my life. I got really wounded 6-7 years ago, and I lost me, and I had to find her again. And I come to you speaking as one who has found herself again, who saw God move incredibly as she lost her first husband to a brain tumor. But then life still, as many of the miracles as I saw, life got too much. And I had to work again and determine I will just daily take steps to find that girl again. And really, I didn't just find her again. God created something new. So, if you've known him and then you've kind of lost your perspective, seek him again. Let him make you new. Let him recreate you. Let him have you go on and share videos for 40 days while you're having back surgery, because it's probably the best thing for you. For me to have to share every night, to think about this, to be thinking about what I've said, man, it's really helped me get through this. So thank you. Thank you for caring, for listening, for commenting, for being on this journey with me. I just cannot thank you enough. And I look forward to seeing where God takes us. Again, as I said, this is not the end. It's going to be the end of my 40 days, but I'm going to find other ways that I'll be sharing, probably even just some Bible studies. As I said, I just love the Christmas story and the Christmas season. So I do have a series. I'm going to finish on that. It's actually from a talk I did last year, so I'm going to resurrect that talk, and it's called Family Secrets. And I'll start that Tuesday, Fridays for the next few weeks. But may the God of peace just surprise you and give you hope in this season, and then in beyond, into January, when it's cold and icy. May the God of peace make those dark days and those cold nights more than bearable. May you feel his love in your soul. May it warm the season. And may you go out and find your way to shine the light. May we keep believing. Do not cave in. Remember that one? We are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved. That's us, people. Let's go live it. Merry Christmas.